In February 1579, 4 women stood trial at the Abingdon Assizes: Elizabeth Style, Mother Margaret, Mother Jewel, and Mother Dutton. All 4 were accused of witchcraft. My name's Helen Parish, and I'm Professor of Early Modern History here at the University of Reading. The early modern witch hunt has been a perennially fascinating topic. Even before the last witch was executed, there were people looking for explanations of what had happened and why. And in the modern scholarship, witchcraft has been an all-encompassing topic. It's been looked at as a political phenomenon, as the product of economic and social circumstances, as the outcome of the fragmentation of the Christian religion at the Reformation, and as a topic that relates to the history of women and the history of gender. The best account that we have of the events leading up to the trial is the 1579 pamphlet, a rehearsal both strange and true of the heinous and horrible acts committed by the 4 women. The author of the pamphlet opened with a dire warning. There were swarms of witches and enchanters in early modern England. They'd been sent by God as a punishment for laxity and immorality. They were the agents of the devil, and swift action was necessary. The author of the pamphlet went on to describe how, by the devilish art of image magic, the women had brought about the deaths of 3 men, including the former mayor of Windsor. Elizabeth Style confessed that she had made an image of these men in red wax and had pricked their hearts with hawthorn prickles. Image magic dated back to the 12th and 13th centuries, and its practitioners believed that they could harness the power of the planets against their enemies by making these wax images. The first of the women to stand trial was Elizabeth Style. Her neighbours brought testimony against her. They claimed that she was malicious, that she was lewd, that she was hurtful, that she was a problem in the community. Elizabeth herself confessed that yes, she had caused the deaths of these 3 men. She admitted that she had brought another man to death simply by touching him on his shoulder. Elizabeth claimed that she and the other women had caused harm to several other individuals, men and women. An ostler, who had fallen ill after an encounter with Elizabeth, was cured only when he drew some of her blood and used it against her. A boy who had thrown a stone at Elizabeth found that his hand twisted around on his arm and was rendered useless. Elizabeth also claimed that she had killed many cattle and stopped them from producing milk. Elizabeth went on to describe how she and Mother Dutton and Mother Jewel had met by night, and they had sworn allegiance, they had pledged themselves to the devil. And she claimed that in prison they had worked magic against her. They had made her foot wither on her leg and leave her lame. All 4 women were found guilty of witchcraft and sentenced to death by hanging. The pamphlet went on to describe the common reputation of Elizabeth Style in her community, and then described in detail the horrific crimes that Style and the other women had perpetrated against their neighbours. The pamphlet was illustrated with suitably terrifying images of Style and the other witches with their familiars. Why did all this matter? Why was the Windsor witch trial so newsworthy? The previous year, 1578, 3 wax images had been found in a dunghill in London. They were models of women, and they had bristles stuck through their hearts. The Queen, Elizabeth I, clearly felt vulnerable. The Spanish ambassador reported in his dispatches what had happened, and the Privy Council ordered that the Dean of Windsor and Henry Neville investigate the full implications of this kind of image magic. Why should we care? Why is this kind of material sitting on a course syllabus in a 21st century university, when the crimes that the pamphlet described seem, by the modern mindset, to be invented or imagined? What comes through in the evidence presented by Elizabeth Style and presented against her is some important information about how ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances thought and spoke about their lives. The 4 witches who stood trial in Abingdon were women, but another figure, that of a man, looms large in the trial narratives. Father Rosamond had a reputation as a cunning man, as a shape-shifter. He knew the women and he met with them at night. He even cured one of the people who had been bewitched by Elizabeth Style. Yet he wasn't prosecuted. He wasn't put on trial with the 4 women. And this might lead us to think a little more about why it is, here and so often, that it's women who find themselves on the receiving end of witchcraft accusations. In the Windsor Witches case, as in so many others, these phenomenal, terrifying events were mapped onto events and circumstances that were much more basic and much more local. If someone fell ill, if an accident happened, it was someone, not something, who was to blame. And pamphlets such as this one drew heavily upon established images of witchcraft and also served to perpetuate them for future generations. If we want to understand the culture, the mentality, the beliefs of the people involved, we need to set aside our own rationality and value judgments. And this is why, even if you don't believe in witches, in demons, in magic, it's still well worth finding out about those people who did.